Autopsy Divas!
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for listening. My name again is Patrick Robinson, and you're visiting the Autopsy Table. Wow, it has been a long time since I've been behind a mic doing this. I think the last time I did this was summertime last year, actually. Things have been very interesting as far as this is concerned. And if you're listening to this for the very first time, let me give you a little bit of a background story and let you know exactly what you're getting into. Here at the Autopsy Table, we do a lot of talking in terms of, most of the time in terms of anything entertainment-wise. We talk about some metal music. Our big focus here, of course, is professional wrestling, and I've actually have had this on a couple of podcast sites, Podcast Garden being one of them. And the folks over there, they're good people. I'm not going to drop an advertisement pitch on them or anything like that, but I've decided that this show needs to be on a wider format. So I'm not going to have this on, as a downloadable thing that you could go on and have to download to listen or anything like that. A lot of people just don't have patience for that. So I decided this guy is going to be moved to YouTube. I figure it's a wider audience. People have more access to it, and they're not going to go around digging and waiting for me to drop a link or anything like that. They'll just go straight to YouTube. Boom, it's right there. Have fun, listen, enjoy. All right, so let's get right into it here. Today's show is basically going to be the blueprint of how the Autopsy Table is going to be run from this day moving forward. It used to be that I would do, a little bit about some of the music that's coming out and things of that nature, talk a little smack about some of the stuff going on in the entertainment industry. I personally don't want to do that anymore. I want to take this show to the direction that I've always wanted to do, and I want to spend it dissecting professional wrestling. So that's what this show is going to be like today. So with that said, here's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking, of course, about Raw, and I'm going to take what happened on Raw, and I'm going to dissect it with some of the stuff that's happened in the past and what we're going to be expecting in the months moving forward here. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about the status of this this so-called Divas division that WWE is subjecting us to. And I'm going to voice my opinion on that quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get right into that here in just a moment. But now, at the exact same time, I want to spend a little bit of time also talking about what's going on with the World Heavyweight Championship, as well as Bray Wyatt. I don't know how else to put this, but I want to spend a little time talking about Bray Wyatt and get my opinion on that. So, with that said, let's get right into it. So, let's talk Divas. Let's talk about the status of the Divas division here in World Wrestling Entertainment and what the hell kind of a joke it's become to be a diva on the main roster. Now, for those of you who don't really pay attention to anything beyond WWE, let me make one thing perfectly clear here. There's WWE, and then there's NXT, which is, if you're a woman wrestler, that's where you want to be because you're actually going to be showcased for the talent that you have. You're not going to be put on Total Divas or be subjected to any of that runway model bullshit that WWE likes to do to its main roster women. And of course, what's going on here? Let's take a look. Your current reigning, defending WWE Divas champion is Nikki Bella. Your other current reigning Divas champion is also Brie Bella. So collectively, the Divas champion is the Bella Twins. It's not just Nikki Bella. If Money in the Bank was any evidence of that. Now, coming up from NXT to the main roster a couple of years ago is quite possibly one of the purest talents in professional wrestling as a whole in the form of Paige. Now, I've been a little bit of a fanboy of Paige for quite a while. And let me tell you, straight up here, I mean, Paige is one of the absolute best wrestlers that WWE has ever produced. Hence why she's on Tough Enough with Chris Jericho and Daniel Bryan. She's got her, or she's, actively working with that as well. I mean, and that's awesome. She is good at what she does. For God's sake, she's been wrestling since she was a kid. I think she came out of her mother's womb doing an Irish whip to the fallopian tubes to get out of the dang, to be alive, I guess. But the fact of the matter is WWE, the main people that are in the actual WWE suits, they are not going to appreciate the talent that Paige bestows. Number one, she's not Trish Stratus. She's not Lita. She's not the Bellas. She's not any of these movie star model types. She's got some amazing photos that have been taken of her over the last few months on WWE.com. I like to look at them occasionally. She's an amazingly beautiful woman. But she's also one of the best talents that WWE has. And much like with what they've been doing with Bray Wyatt, they are not showcasing her enough. They're not giving her the championship runs that she deserves. And to be perfectly honest, the only reason why Nikki Bella is the WWE Divas champion, and I will go on record and officially say this, the only reason why Nikki Bella is the champion is because WWE headquarters in Stamford, Connecticut is doing whatever they can to stamp out the legacy of AJ Lee. You want proof of this? Let's look at how the stories have been wrote featuring the Bella Twins, okay? Let's go back to Money in the Bank, okay? During that match against Paige, when Nikki was supposedly defending the Divas Championship, we got to witness twin magic again, and this would happen the second time in the last month, okay? If you don't recall what I'm talking about, let's take it to the Monday Night Raw before Money in the Bank when they tried to use twin magic. Let's analyze this for a moment and let's scientifically dissect this, okay? The same referee was on hand calling that match. I don't know what his name is, but my pet name for him is Tracy Morgan because the dude's voice reminds me of Tracy Morgan whenever he goes on his tangent and is trying to tell them to get off the ropes or get off the turnbuckle or whatever the case may be. So I'm calling referee Tracy Morgan out on this, and hopefully the dude wants to listen and I could actually get a chance to talk to this joker because what has been happening here as of late is you've got this jackass making these bullshit calls. I don't care if it's scripted or not. It's unbelievable. Number one. Number two, it's unbelievable. Oh, and number three, it's unbelievable. The reason I'm saying this, let's look at it. Twin Magic may have looked when they were identical, but it's not going to work right now. Here's why. They wear different attire. Nikki Bella has a bigger rack and a bigger ass than Brie. Not saying she's fat. She's got an amazing body. The girl does work out and takes very good care of herself. And then on top of that, they don't have the same hair. They don't have the same facial structure. They don't wear the same outfits. I mean, for God's sakes, when Brie was actually hiding under the ring on both instances, she was not wearing the same vinyl latex outfit style that Nikki was wearing. She was wearing the not vinyl material. I mean, maybe I'm digging a little bit too much into this because I might be sounding like I'm forgetting that wrestling has a storyline, but for God's sakes, if you're going to write a storyline, make that shit believable. I mean, I'm not asking you to write the Ministry of Darkness storyline from the Attitude Era again. Oh, no. I'm actually suggesting that if you're going to write a storyline for the Divas, make that stuff believable to the audience because of the fact that you got referee Tracy Morgan making a bullshit call on Raw. Oh, I didn't see the vinyl shine or the reflective shine on the outfit. No. 1, 2, 3, Nikki Bella wins. I got a hard on for Nikki Bella, and 1, 2, 3, she wins. It's nothing like that. I mean, goddamn, if you're going to call a match, call a match. If you're going to be a referee, be a referee. If you're wrote to make a botch call, okay, I get it. You were wrote to make a botch call. But make that botch call look fucking believable. I mean, that's the only thing I'm asking. Oh, and even better than that, let's go to Money in the Bank. I keep wanting to say Payback, but it happened at Money in the Bank, okay? Paige had the match won. Paige kicks out Nikki. Referee Tracy Morgan holds Paige back just in time for a little switcheroo to occur. And in comes Brie Bella disguised as Nikki, once again not wearing the shiny material. Number 2, when she goes to make that bogus-ass pin, Paige pins what was supposed to be Nikki Bella and wins the Divas Championship, only for Brie to unstuff her shirt, show a tattoo, and instead of throwing the goddamn match out, referee Tracy Morgan allows Nikki to come back in, blast Paige, and score the victory. A match that should have been thrown out was given to the cheating side because of stupidity in the writing. Last night, there was a Divas tag team match featuring both Bella Twins versus Tamina Snuka and Naomi. Tamina, anybody who's ever watched Tamina Snuka compete should be nothing but impressed with this chick's raw power. I mean, she comes in, she cleans house, and when she goes for a splash to blast Brie Bella, referee Tracy Morgan drops down on his hands and knees and trips her up. If you didn't see it and you have access to Hulu, go back and watch that match. Otherwise, you got to wait a month on the network, or you can check it out on YouTube. Do whatever you need to do to check this footage out. You will see him purposely drop down on his hands and knees to trip her. And still the Bellas win. It is one thing to stamp out the legacy of AJ Lee so that Nikki Bella could be the longest reigning Divas champion in the title's history. That's fine and good. If you're going to do it, do it. But do it with dignity and class, and don't hire a dumbass referee to call your matches. And surely you would think that the girlfriend of John Cena or the wife of Daniel Bryan could actually say, hey, you know what? We are legitimately good wrestlers. Why don't we actually get somebody to write the stories to showcase this? But it's not catty. It's not, you're not going to be scratching at the eyes and wearing high heels and trying to look like J-Lo and blah, blah, blah. Who the fuck cares? Look at NXT. Look at the raw talent that's on NXT. Look at Becky Lynch. Look at Sasha Banks. Those two could actually main event a pay-per-view and put on a better match than Seth Rollins, put on a better match than John Cena. Hell, for that matter, Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch on the same pay-per-view with John Cena versus Kevin Owens. You know who they're going to talk about more? If it's let go the way that it should be, they would talk about Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks more than John Cena versus Kevin Owens. And that's saying something, because the last 2 times, the only 2 times that Owens and Cena went at it, that shit's still being talked about today. Let's face it, those were 2 of the best matches that 2015 produced that were not related to Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch. So now there have been some rumors circulating that WWE is actually going to maybe, I don't know, start showcasing some of the NXT divas the way that they're supposed to be on the main roster. Rumors are circulating that there is a good chance that we're going to see maybe Charlotte come up onto the main roster. And if that happens, that's going to be fantastic in its own right. And let's just hope that WWE's writing team actually keeps Charlotte the same as she is right now. I mean, let's face it, there have only been a handful of the NXT guys that have come up that have been given full run of how they perform. I mean, Bray Wyatt, Adrian Neville, Bo Dallas, Paige. Those guys, have garnered some really good success since coming up. But they don't know what to do with a team like the Ascension? Really? I mean, seriously. You let them do what they did on NXT. It worked. Let them do what they do because it works, And that's the thing that I'm scared of, is that they're going to bring up Charlotte. They're going to probably bring up Sasha Banks or Becky Lynch. And it's just going to... It's going to probably be a crapshoot. I hate to say it, but there's a good chance that they'll take care of Charlotte. I mean, let's face it. Her dad's Ric Flair, 16-time world heavyweight champion. I don't think I need to go any further than that. But the rumor that's going around is that if you've paid any attention over the last couple of weeks, you've seen Paige try to rally the divas and pretty much say, hey, you should be tired. You should be just as tired as I am of this Bella Empire being run the way that it is. This is not about the Bellas. This is about the divas. Come with me. Work with me. Join me. Let's take the Bellas down. Let's do this. Let's do that. And it's been all for naught. I'm sorry. It's been all for naught. I mean, and you know what? I hate to, join in on a catty storyline here, but Paige kind of did it to herself. The Paige character, I'm going to say, the Paige character did it to herself. Anytime she's aligned herself with somebody and they did something that she didn't agree with, she blasted them and beat the hell out of them. She did it with Alicia Fox. She did it really not so much to Natty. I mean, her and Natty worked very, very well together. But it's more, if you're going to use that portion of the storyline, it was more geared towards how she treated Alicia Fox. And Alicia Fox aligning herself with the Bellas because of that is actually, it kind of plays into that. It's like, well, this bitch fucking did this to me. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to work with her. I'd rather work with the Bellas. Look at them. They're big. They're famous. They're the face of the company in the Divas division. I want to be a part of that. I don't want to be a part of this. I mean, so, what better way to bring out, or what better way to, actually showcase Paige by having somebody that came up in NXT with her, like Charlotte. I mean, it would be fantastic. And if it's wrote appropriately, then you'll see a formed rivalry between Nikki Bella and Charlotte. And other rumors that have been going around about, that Bellas may not. The Bellas actually, from what I've been reading up on, they've got a little bit more time on their contracts. They should be here through, or still active in the WWE through 2015, and after that, there's a good chance that you're not going to see Brie and Nikki Bella anymore. They're going to be at home, especially with Brie. Brie wants to be home with her husband, even though he's already talking about, I'm not done yet, I'm going to come back. No, Bret Hart's already made it clear he doesn't foresee Daniel Bryan coming back anytime soon. So that's my apology to the Daniel Bryan fanboys. They're like, he should be world champion. No, he shouldn't have. All right, moving right along. You know what? Let's talk about Daniel Bryan for a moment. Daniel Bryan, hands down, is pound for pound the best pure wrestler that has ever been in the WWE. Trained by legendary Shawn Michaels. He is a former world champion when there were still 2 titles. He, former world tag team champion with Kane. And he is a former WWE world heavyweight champion when he defeated Randy Orton and Batista at WrestleMania 30 to become the champion. And it was all because of the Yes movement, and WrestleMania became Yeselmania. And all the fanboys rejoiced. And then he got put out. His neck ended up getting messed up really bad, and unfortunately he had to relinquish the championship. All the same, he made the right move on that. And he made that very clear when he relinquished the Intercontinental Championship recently. It was the best move. It was the right move because it was not fair. It would not have been fair for the fans, especially to see a world heavyweight champion not defend his world heavyweight championship because he is rehabbing with a neck injury. And quite honestly, to put it boldly, Daniel Bryan did the best thing he could for his personal well-being in his career. By relinquishing the 2 championships, it does 2 things, actually. It allows those championships to be defended by somebody who is perfectly healthy. It allows those championships to actually be around the waist of somebody just as deserving. And at the exact same time, he can always look back and say, hey, I never lost that championship. Hey, I never lost that one either. Hey, technically, if you really want to get down to it, I should be in the high ranks for contendership for both the World Heavyweight Championship and the Intercontinental Championship. And, to be perfectly honest, everybody who sat there and blogged and tweeted and, wrote that Daniel Bryan should have been given a rematch for the World Heavyweight Championship. He should have been entered into the Royal Rumble, and he should have won the Royal Rumble. It should have gone to Daniel Bryan. It should have gone to Daniel Bryan. You don't know a goddamn thing about wrestling. I'm sorry. Here's how it worked out, okay? Here in the WWE, they will not do a rehashed storyline. If they're going to rehash a storyline, they're going to rehash a storyline that was actually relevant and stood the test of time. Okay? And what I mean by that is basically you have stables. Okay? That's a good one. We'll go with that, okay? You had stables all throughout professional wrestling. You had the Fabulous Freebirds. You had the NWO, D-Generation X, the Four Horsemen, the Ministry of Darkness, and the, all of that good stuff there. I mean, and let's look at the Freebirds, for example. With the Freebirds, they actually created the Freebird rule, which meant that if any 2 of those 3 actually won the World Tag Team Championships, then any 2 of the 3 can defend the World Tag Team Championships. What did we see do or happen with that? The New Day. Now, the New Day, the original tag team or the original pairing that won the World Tag Team Championships was Big E Langston and Kofi Kingston. But you've seen pairings with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, Xavier Woods and Big E and Kofi. Any combination of the 3, successfully defended, might I say, at the same time, those tag team championships all the way up until Elimination Chamber. When Elimination Chamber came, they successfully defeated the other teams that were there. You know, albeit that the Ascension absolutely shined in that match, and I'm still pissed that they didn't win, but they defeated the Ascension. They defeated Cesaro and Kid. They defeated the Lucha Dragons. They defeated, everybody that was in there. I mean, they didn't physically defeat those other guys, but, they outlasted the other teams is what I should be saying here. When it came right down to it, they defeated the newly crowned current tag team champions, the Primetime Players. Congrats to them, by the way, for their successful title victory at Money in the Bank when they defeated the New Day. But, back to Daniel Bryan, because there's a point to be made to this, stables worked. The storylines revolving around stables worked. And they were able to be rehashed over and over again, only in different twists. Now, it's not going to be like the NWO where it's like, oh, I'm going to bring back the NWO. Okay, well, we're going to go on ahead and bring in Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, and Hulk Hogan. They're going to, put on the black and white, and they're just going to run rampant all over the WWE. It's not going to be anything like that. I want to apologize to Vince McMahon for using a very poor impression of him when I did that just now. Again, here we go. Now, to rehash in back-to-back years, Daniel Bryan going to WrestleMania and winning is something that Daniel Bryan's fanboy fans want and wanted. They wanted it. To boo Roman Reigns out of the arena because Daniel Bryan didn't win is stupid. And Daniel Bryan made that point very clear. Now, this is nothing against Daniel Bryan, the person, because Daniel Bryan, the person, made that fact very clear that win, lose, or draw, he made an effort. He didn't make it. He went to Fastlane, went against Roman Reigns, and lost valiantly and with, dignity. Told Roman Reigns, you better beat Brock Lesnar. Daniel Bryan also knows in his heart that if he had gone to Fastlane and beat Roman Reigns, to go to WrestleMania is going to do two things. Number one, it's going to make the fans happy. Number two, it would have ended his goddamn career, which his career may very well have been over. And, and that point was made on in an article on Give Me Sports. I guess the story goes that Bret Hart made it, or, was talking about Daniel Bryan and made it very clear that there is a very good chance that Daniel Bryan may not ever come back. Okay, that's sad. That's unbelievably sad. He's an unbelievable talent, blah, 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 blah. That's just the way shit goes, man. I mean, that's all there is to that. Now, going back to what we talked about a little bit ago about the Bellas, one of the rumors that's been going around is that here at the end of 2015, Brie Bella is going to retire. She's going to stay home with Daniel. And Daniel, she wants to start a family, and more power to her. And Daniel Bryan is still healthy enough to, walk around, do things and whatnot. He's just not healthy enough to get back into the ring. And honestly speaking, if you want something bad enough and you're going to try to come back, hell yeah, go for it, man. But don't put your life at risk, especially if it's pertaining to your neck, because the next thing that could possibly happen could be the very worst thing that could possibly happen, and it could make him a paraplegic or a quadriplegic, even worse, And I don't want to see that happen. I mean, so yeah, he's on Tough Enough, and he's going to be one of the trainers on Tough Enough, or he's either a trainer or a judge. I can never get that part straight, but he's still active with the WWE. He's just not on a performing level with the WWE. what I think he would be or would thrive and excel in, and I would firmly support this decision if he decided to do that. What he should do, he doesn't need to compete anymore. There's no way he should not be allowed to compete. What he needs to do is he needs to go to the Performance Center and be a trainer. Pass that knowledge. Pay it forward to some young kid that wants to get in there and get the job done, you know? Because if you're trained by Daniel Bryan and you come back, you come to the WWE after being trained by Daniel Bryan, chances are you're going to shine. You're going to be a main event player. You're going to be headlining WrestleMania after WrestleMania. You might outdo John Cena's title run. You might even outdo Ric Flair for all we know. Who knows, man? I mean, the stars are out there. You know, reach for it. I mean, but the point is Daniel is not ever going to be in any position to get back in. I hate to say it. I agree with Bret Hart. I don't want to say I agree with Bret Hart, but I do. You know, and moving right along, speaking of amazing Canadian talents, how about Kevin Owens, man? Wow. Kevin Owens, I have been a major fanboy of his since he was as Kevin Steen on Ring of Honor. Wrestling's worst nightmare, Mr. Wrestling, Kevin Steen, now known as Kevin Owens, your current reigning defending NXT heavyweight champion. Won that championship 2 months to the day he arrived here at WWE. And his very first match being moved up to the main roster, he defeats 15-time World Heavyweight Champion John Cena. That is absolutely incredible. I knew that when he got signed, if he was put in a match against John Cena, he would defeat John Cena. I mean, let's look at it. He is not your prototypical wrestler. He is not filled with muscles. He is not ripping with a 12-pack or an 8-pack. He might rip open a 12-pack. I'm not really sure if that's the case. Hell yeah, I'll drink a beer with him. But that's not what we're talking about here. He's not jacked like The Rock. He's not, you know, he's not the handsome man. I mean, he's a handsome man. I mean, he's got a hot wife, you know, I'll put it like that. But he's not your prototypical wrestler as far as how they look on the camera. Now, he has not been with WWE a year. I'm just going to put it out there right now. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, I think his very first match with the company happened back in February when he arrived at NXT Rival and beat CJ Parker. CJ Parker broke his goddamn nose, dude. I mean, he palm-faced that dude with force, but still Owens won. 2 months later, goes up against Sami Zayn for the NXT Championship. Beats Sami Zayn within an inch of his life. He didn't pin Sami Zayn, but the referee awarded the match to Kevin Owens as well as the championship. Very next match. Now that's match number 2. Match number 3, he beat Adrian Neville within an inch of his life. Neville gets moved up to the main roster. Kevin Owens is still defending and current champion. You know, does a number of house shows, wins victoriously at those house shows. Fourth match on camera. Defense against Sami Zayn. No, excuse me. Fourth match on camera. He beats the hell out of Alex Riley. Rage, Riley, rage. I hear that all the time, and it's that part always cracks me up. He had 2 matches against Alex Riley, beats Alex Riley both times, and then turns around, goes up against, I want to say it was Solomon Crowe. No, Solomon Crowe happened after the fact. But nevertheless, he's only had maybe like 12 matches on camera at NXT, and then had his 2 matches against John Cena. He had a match against Dolph Ziggler. He's had a match against Cesaro. He had a match against not Alex Riley, excuse me. He had a match against Zack Ryder, you know. Oh, I'm sorry, he had a match against Adrian Neville. You know, the point I'm trying to make is Kevin Owens has come in and dominated. Kevin Owens has only been beat one time since he's been active with WWE, and that was against John Cena at Owens Cena 2 at Money in the Bank. He suffered his first loss. He suffered the first pinfall loss since being in WWE, and that's across the board, NXT, WWE, whatever the case may be. Now we're fast forwarding to a few weeks down the road here at Battleground. We're going to see John Cena versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. Now, two things are going to happen here, as well as a possible thing that's going to happen here. It has not been made official yet. To my knowledge, it has not been made official yet. They may have changed it, but from what I understood, several weeks ago, it was confirmed what Kevin Owens' schedule was going to look like. If he was going to be at Battleground or not, it was still yet to be determined. However, they have slated or stated that he was going to be at SummerSlam. So, and that's because of his NXT schedule at the same time, because July 4th, we have a live taping from Tokyo, Japan, when he defends the NXT Heavyweight Championship against Finn Balor. That was another guy that he had at NXT. And, you know, that match is going to be magical in my personal opinion. And what's amazing about that match is this is a welcome home show to Finn Balor. Finn Balor was wrestling for Japan, or wrestling in Japan, when he got called to the WWE. Finn Balor, as Fergal Devitt, as Prince Devitt, I should say, was like God in Japan. I mean, this man is amazing. You know, so he's got his next opportunity to be NXT champion against Kevin Owens on July 4th. Kevin Owens has, you know, he's got a pretty full plate here. I mean, he had Samoa Joe last week during one of the tapings that happened quite a few weeks ago. That match was amazing. I have never seen Kevin Owens get his butt handed to him the way that he got it handed to him. Kevin, I love you, man. I've been a fanboy of yours for many, many years, but you got your ass kicked on that match against Joe. But I know you'll defeat John Cena come whenever it happens. Like I said, it has not been made official yet. They have not stated if Kevin Owens was going to be put into Battleground or not. It was made that he was going to be at Payback. It was made that he was going to be at Money in the Bank. And it has been made or stated that, or said that he is going to be at SummerSlam and all the Raws and SmackDowns in between. But as it turns out right now, he's got a major full schedule ahead of him as he's heading towards the Tokyo defense against Finn Balor. You know, so it remains to be seen if that match is going to be made. Now, here's what I think should happen. They should hold true to what was said that was actually released on the internet as far as the schedule is concerned. Don't put that match at Battleground. Put it at SummerSlam. You put that at SummerSlam, give him a crowd of over 50,000 people wherever SummerSlam is taking place. I think it's happening at MetLife Stadium. I'm not really sure yet. I'd have to take a look again. But I do know it's going to be in New York City. I mean, actually, let me take a look here real quick. Let's see. Just pulling this information up here. Yeah, it's at Barclays Stadium in Brooklyn, New York on August 23rd. So, you know, August 23rd, we have, we still have a couple of months down the road. So it has, like I said, it hasn't been made official yet if, in fact, he's going to be slated for Battleground. But Barclays Stadium on August 23rd would be the perfect opportunity for Kevin Owens to come in and take that United States Championship. If it happens at Battleground, hell yeah, which means we're going to probably have a fourth match at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. So, Either way it goes, I would pay good money to see John Cena and Kevin Owens go at it every single week. But it's almost to the point to where it's running its course, So if he doesn't, here's how it looks. Kevin Owens has what it takes to be the big guy, the main guy in WWE. You give him a mic, you give him a few matches, he's going to dominate. Mr. Wrestling, wrestling's worst nightmare, Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, however you want to know him. He's always Kevin Steen to me. He's going to dominate the roster, man. For all we know, he may go into Battleground and beat John Cena and become the United States champion. And he may turn around and say, you know what? I want what Seth Rollins has. You know what? I want what Brock Lesnar has. We could very easily see Brock Lesnar versus Kevin Owens. We could very easily see Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins. Kevin Owens versus Bray Wyatt. Kevin Owens versus whoever, It still remains to be seen, but as it is right now, between the two absolute amazing matches that happened between Payback and Money in the Bank, between him powerbombing the shit out of Machine Gun Kelly, which I have an opinion on that. All you people that want to sit here and throw your hate mail towards Kevin Owens for, powerbombing Machine Gun Kelly, you got to remember two things here. First of all, it's only a script. Kelly probably said, hey, man, powerbomb me. All right, cool, I'll do that. Bam, and it was done. It was not a pop-up powerbomb. If it was a pop-up powerbomb, that dude would not have been walking. And number two, if it wasn't scripted and it happened just on the fly like that, Machine Gun Kelly put hands on Kevin first. So he had what was coming to him. I personally don't give a rat's ass about Machine Gun Kelly. I couldn't even tell you who he is. The only reason why I know his name is because a dear friend of mine I went to school with has a man crush on him. So, has a man crush Monday or whatever the hell you call it when a woman likes him. She, adores the guy. So whatever the case is. But he put hands on Owens first, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But anyway, let's see. Speaking of Bray Wyatt, if you've been watching Raw over the last few weeks, and if you've also had the opportunity to watch Money in the Bank or a couple of weeks back, you witnessed the return of Bray Wyatt. And his new target has actually been made out to be Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns climbs the ladder. Roman Reigns tries to unhook the briefcase. Roman Reigns gets pushed off said ladder by Bray Wyatt, only to be told that following Monday that, quote, it should have been me, not you. And Bray has put a huge target on Roman Reigns. Bray Wyatt has been the victim here of poor booking. Bray Wyatt is quite possibly WWE's crowning achievement. Bray Wyatt is the best thing that has happened to WWE in many, 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 many years. His character is one of the absolute most amazingly developed things that I have ever seen in my life. I have been a fan of his since his days in FCW before it was converted to NXT. He is profound. I mean, the way he delivers promos on a mic is just absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, it is magic every time he picks up a mic. It is magic every time he puts himself in a rivalry with the likes of Dean Ambrose and Kane and CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. I am actually very happy that they did not go any further with the rivalry with Ryback and just stopped it dead in its tracks, because it did not make any sense. Simply just saying, oh, he was in my way. That doesn't really work, Bray saw that and put a stop to it, or WWE saw it and put a stop to it. Who knows? I mean, if WWE caught that mistake, hell yeah, more power to WWE. Now we have this rivalry against this rivalry against Roman Reigns. And the way that it was delivered on Raw right after Money in the Bank was basically, it should have been me. You stole this opportunity from me. It should have been me climbing up that ladder and grabbing that briefcase and fulfilling my destiny and starting my path to becoming the greatest, of all time. It should have been me doing this, but instead they picked you. It should not have been you. Anybody but you is the words that he's using now on all of his deliveries. Anybody but you. It should never have been you. It could have been anybody. It could have been me. It could have been Eric Rowan. It could have been Luke Harper. It could have been Zack Ryder. Hell, for that matter, it could have been Adam Rose, But the fact is they handpicked Roman Reigns, and Bray Wyatt put a fucking stop to that, And then, of course, Sheamus would end up winning the Money in the Bank briefcase, and that has interesting implications that we'll get into here in just a moment. Bray Wyatt, though, is one of the most enigmatic faces that has ever graced WWE. I've already made this point mentioned, I've been a fan of his for a long time. But the level of mind games that this guy plays, anybody who has ever watched Bray Wyatt and has ever paid any attention to anything that happens in professional wrestling should take note of this. Every single human being or every single athlete that has ever gone up against Bray Wyatt over a 2 to 3 month period, maybe even a 4-month period like they did with Dean Ambrose, has shined and has become much better as a competitor since then. I mean, let's look at Dean Ambrose. I mean, he was rival with Dean Ambrose from Hell in a Cell all the way through January. I mean, and they've main evented 2 pay-per-views. They've main evented multiple Raws. They main evented the Tribute to the Troops show. I mean, their rivalry was just absolute magic, and it was beautifully done. I mean, and it also showcased, something along the lines of nobody could out-mind game Bray Wyatt, but here comes Dean Ambrose, and none of the mind games work with Dean Ambrose because he just doesn't care. So you could do that and work it and actually show this, and then he goes up against, I didn't really pay any attention to the rivalry that he had with Daniel Bryan when Daniel Bryan joined the Wyatt family. But there were some matches that featured Daniel Bryan and CM Punk against the Wyatts. And then the monumental rivalry that Bray Wyatt had with John Cena. I mean, the ultimate good versus evil gimmick there. I mean, but this rivalry that is being brewed between Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns has actually captured my attention in a way that I didn't think it would actually be captured. I mean, you're actually seeing him use a level of mind game or levels of mind gaming that have not been seen in many, many years. I mean, the closest that I've seen to this kind of mind game, this kind of trickery, is with the great Jake the Snake Roberts and The Undertaker. When those guys actually did it, they did it. They got into your mind and they played those games and they left it for dead. Bray Wyatt is doing this exact same thing. The only difference is he's taking it to a whole other level. I mean, last week on Raw, we saw Bray Wyatt explain the reasoning behind this, the reasoning why he targeted Roman Reigns. And then he concluded it with, him singing the I'm a little teapot short and stout. and you see him with a picture of Roman and his daughter that was taken from this commercial that aired on Hulu, that WWE sponsored and whatnot. Well, then you see him this week basically playing the same game again. Had a brutal match against Sheamus. I mean, they were beating the hell out of each other. And I agree with JBL. That's a main event match right there. Seeing those two together is main event gold, in my opinion. But nevertheless, what we saw happen here was towards the end of the match, Bray Wyatt came over the screen, and basically, we see him sitting in front of a table or behind a table with a little toy teacup and candles, and takes a drink, and he tells him to come find him, and he's laughing and all this sinister shit. And then it goes to a commercial break, and then we see Roman going out or in the back looking for him. Comes across this room that's got the whole setup there. It's got the 2 rocking chairs, the table with the tea set, and all this good stuff. And then you look on a wall, and in red paint were the words "anybody but you," and it featured Roman Reigns' pictures, multiple dozens and dozens of Roman Reigns' pictures with the eyes and mouths cut out of them. I'm telling you right now, when this match happens at Battleground, we may have seen gold struck here. I mean, he's playing these head games with Roman, and, you're seeing Roman shown as the loving father and the unfortunate victim, and he's ready to basically come unglued and just beat the hell out of Roman or beat the hell out of Bray Wyatt. I mean, but in the promo that Bray delivered when he said it should have been anybody else but you, it should have been me. Honestly speaking, I 100% agree. Bray Wyatt should have been in that match. Bray Wyatt should, in my opinion, be Money in the Bank, and he should have gone on to, win that briefcase and have his fate solidified, But I kind of like what's going on here, We're seeing a whole new side to the Bray Wyatt character, one that simply just doesn't care. And the fact is when it's done, you're going to see a whole new Bray Wyatt, but you're going to see Roman Reigns in a whole new light as well. You're actually going to see a whole new Roman Reigns, a better Roman Reigns, a faster, more powerful Roman Reigns. And for all we know, we may finally get the heel turn that has been prophesized about for many months now. That basically at Money in the Bank, you should have seen a heel turn on Roman Reigns. I guess it was a last-minute change. I don't know. But anyway, that match is set for Battleground, as well as Seth Rollins defending against Brock Lesnar. Oh my God. I've been waiting for this rematch since the Monday after WrestleMania, when Brock was quote unquote indefinitely suspended. You had to actually match the original Brock Lesnar schedule, where he's only making random appearances. I mean, he's got an extremely part-time schedule, which makes every appearance special and magical. That's the one thing I agree with Paul Heyman about. You can't showcase the beast week after week after week after week after week. His time becomes stale. However, showcasing him for a little while adds a little bit of magic to his appearance, like when he was world champion for the time that he was. The focus was actually put on, Seth Rollins being Money in the Bank, and it showcased all the other talent. But then Brock Lesnar's defending against so-and-so. It kind of brought it back to the territory days of professional wrestling, which made it, really awesome. And now the Beast is back, and he wants what's his. He wants his belt. Now we run into a problem because we're looking at Brock Lesnar as a possible face. I mean, we probably have a face turn Brock Lesnar going against the ultimate heel in Seth Rollins. And this past Monday was evident of that when we actually saw, for the first time in a very long time, Brock Lesnar get beat the hell down. And it wasn't by Seth Rollins. Oh, no, he had a hand in it. I will give the devil his due. I mean, he put a hurting on Brock. But the main culprit in the I'm going to beat the hell out of Brock Lesnar was Kane. Kane beat the ever-loving hell out of Brock Lesnar, as did Joey Mercury, as did Seth Rollins, as did Jamie Noble for about 2.5 seconds before he got himself hurt. The fact of the matter is, you saw the reunion of the Authority as a strong, well-oiled unit. Kane, J&J Security, Seth Rollins, all working together like a fine, oil-tuned machine, as it should have been for a while now. Now, showcasing Seth Rollins by himself in the ladder match against Dean Ambrose, showcasing Seth Rollins all by himself in his title defense against Randy Orton in that cage match, that was fantastic. Having him do it by himself is the way that it needs to be done. But I have to admit, watching them beat down Brock Lesnar was magic because it's adding more intensity to this rivalry, which means when we see Brock Lesnar come back next Monday, if he does come back next Monday, it might be the Monday after, who knows. But when we do see Brock Lesnar come back, hell's coming with him. And then at Battleground, you're going to see Seth Rollins lose the World Heavyweight Championship. I believe Brock Lesnar is going to win. And I also believe that what we may end up seeing is going to be a monumental rematch at SummerSlam between Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. Or if these pre-made advertisements have anything to do with it, we may see the WrestleMania rematch between Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, which could inevitably kill the rivalry between him and Bray Wyatt. But we don't know. I mean, things have happened here over the last month or so that have proven that WWE is on top of their game on beating out these rumors that are going around, I mean, we were supposed to see a heel turn with Roman Reigns, as Roman Reigns was supposed to be the Money in the Bank winner. That didn't happen. We saw, I don't know. I mean, we saw there's been a lot happening here that has kind of put the final nail in the coffin on some of the rumors that have been going around. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, there's a lot that's actually happening here now that should actually put those rumors to rest. I mean, Kevin Owens being at Battleground, we were told that he was only supposed to be on Payback and Money in the Bank, and then after that, he was just going to make Raw appearances. But it's possible that he's going to be here at Battleground. And it's been said that he's going to be on SummerSlam. What do we have on SummerSlam? That, only time will tell. But that's it for me. Thank you very much for listening. And remember, Autopsy Table is permanently on YouTube now, so enjoy. Thanks for listening, and leave your thoughts and comments below. Like it or like the page on Facebook, follow it on Twitter. Do whatever you need to do. I mean, get this voice out there. But thanks again. You guys have a great day.